A moment meant to celebrate humanity became a tragedy the world would never forget. The Munich Olympic Massacre, September 1972. The world gathered in Munich, Germany for the Summer Olympics, an event meant to celebrate unity, peace, and the power of sport. For Germany, these games were especially symbolic. After the dark shadow of World War II, the country hoped to show a new face to the world, peaceful and welcoming. Athletes from more than 120 nations filled the Olympic Village. Flags waved, cameras flashed, dreams of gold medals filled the air. But in the early hours of September 5th, that dream would turn into a nightmare. Just before dawn, 8 members of a Palestinian militant group known as Black September organization quietly climbed over the fence of the Olympic Village. Dressed in tracksuits and carrying sports bags, they blended in like athletes returning from a late night out. But inside their bags were rifles, grenades, and a deadly mission. Their target, the Israeli team. Within minutes, the attackers forced their way into the Israeli quarters, taking 11 members of the Israel Olympic team hostage. 2 were killed during the initial assault, as others were captured and bound. The world woke up to shocking news. The Olympic Games had become the center of an international hostage crisis. Television networks across the globe switched to live coverage. Millions watched as armed militants stood on balconies of the Olympic Village. The attackers demanded the release of more than 200 prisoners held in Israeli jails. Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir refused to negotiate with terrorists. Meanwhile, German authorities scrambled to respond, but the situation was chaotic. Police were unprepared for such a crisis, and every move was being broadcast live on television, including police preparations. The militants were watching too. After hours of negotiations, the attackers demanded transportation out of Germany. Authorities agreed to move them and the hostages by helicopter to a nearby airbase, Fürstenfeldbruck Air Base. German police planned an ambush there, but the plan was flawed from the beginning. There were too few snipers, communication was poor, and the attackers were heavily armed. Under the floodlights of the airfield, helicopters landed. Snipers took positions in the darkness. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then the shooting began. A fierce gun battle erupted between German police and the militants. Chaos spread across the airfield. Grenades exploded. Gunfire echoed through the night. By the time it was over, all 11 Israeli hostages had been killed. 5 of the attackers were dead, and a German police officer had also lost his life. The Olympic Games were suspended as the world mourned. A memorial service was held inside the Olympic Stadium. Thousands of athletes and spectators stood in silence. It was one of the darkest days in Olympic history. The tragedy changed global security forever. Future Olympic Games and major international events would introduce much stricter security measures. For Israel, the attack would also lead to a secret response campaign known as Operation Wrath of God, targeting those believed responsible. But the legacy of the Munich Olympic Massacre remains a painful reminder of how violence can shatter even the world's most peaceful gatherings. A moment meant to celebrate humanity became a tragedy the world would never forget.